This is a continuation of Lesson 6. I felt that the first part of Lesson 6 was getting a little lengthy, and so I decided to give you a break. Now you've had the break, and we'll continue on with Lesson 6 at a metronome marking of 60. Remember to count off your 8 beats when the metronome begins. And now, take a deep breath and begin. And now we'll change notes here in exercise 4. All these videos are still subdivided. Don't forget to count off your 8 beats. It's time to take a deep breath and begin. Here we are with a metronome marking of 92. Don't forget your 8 beats. Take a deep breath and begin. This one will be changing notes at the metronome marking of 92. When the metronome starts, don't forget to count off your 8 beats. Time for a deep breath and begin. We're stepping it up to 120. Don't forget your 8 beats. They'll go by pretty fast. It's time to take a deep breath and begin. Now at 120 we'll be changing notes. Still don't forget your 8 beats when the metronome begins. Take a deep breath and begin. We're going to begin with exercise 5, and we're going to take a couple of minutes to talk about it because I know it probably looks a little scary to you. Line 1 has an 8th note, then an 8th note rest, a quarter note, another 8th note, an 8th note rest, and a quarter note. That first 8th note is on beat 1. You know it's short. You just don't play it as long as a quarter note. You just play it half the length. Then the quarter note rest is on beat 2. The next 8th note is on beat 3. And the next quarter note is on beat 4. And that goes for 4 measures. Let me do that for you with the click of the metronome. And this is subdivided. We'll count off 4 beats. 2, 3, 4, T, 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 T. Line 2, the 8th note rest comes first. So it's going to be rest T, rest T. Now with the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest T, rest T, rest T, rest T. Line 3 also starts with an 8th note rest, so that will be rest T, rest T, T, T. And with the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest T, rest T, T, T. In line 4, the 8th note starts on the beat. The 8th note rest is the second half of that first beat. The quarter note rest is beat 2. The next quarter note rest is beat 3. And the next 8th note rest is beat 4. And that 8th note comes in the second half of that beat. So it's going to be T, 2, 3, 4, T, T, 2, 3, 4, T, T. Now I'll do it with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, T, 2, 3, 4, T, T, 2, 3, 4, T, T. So are you ready to begin? When the metronome starts, don't forget to count off your 8 beats. It's time now for a deep breath and begin. We'll now do the same rhythm pattern, still at a metronome marking of 60, but this time we're changing the notes. Don't forget to count off your 8 beats. Take a deep breath and begin. We're now going to do the same exercise at a metronome marking of 92, this time with just the single note. Remember to count off your 8 beats, take a deep breath, and begin. And now at 92, changing notes. Count off your 8 beats when the metronome starts. Let's take a deep breath and begin. Now we get to step it up to 120 again. Remember to count off your 8 beats, take a deep breath, and begin. Now we're going to change notes at a metronome marking of 120. Count off 8 beats when the metronome starts. Let's take a deep breath and begin. Well, here we are at the final exercise in Lesson 6. And in this exercise, we're dealing with the pattern that's an eighth note followed by a quarter note followed by an eighth note. So look at the first measure. You'll see that there's 4 eighth notes before we get to the pattern. That quarter note in the pattern is taking up the space of 2 eighth notes. So that first measure goes T, 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 ta, T. T, 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 ta, T. I'll show you the bottom line with the click of the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. T, ta, T, T, ta, T, T, ta, T, T, ta, T. One other thing before we begin. Notice that this is the shortest exercise in Lesson 6. Okay, don't forget your 8 beats when the metronome begins. Let's take a deep breath and begin. Now we'll repeat at a metronome marking of 60, but this time we'll change the notes. Don't forget your 8 beats. Take a deep breath and begin. Here we are at a metronome marking of 92 with a single note. Don't forget to count off your 8 beats. It's time for a deep breath and begin. Now we're changing notes at 92. Count off your 8 beats when the metronome begins. Take a deep breath and begin. Here we are at 120 with the playing note. Remember to count off your 8 beats when the metronome starts. Let's take a deep breath and begin. Here we are, changing notes at a metronome marking of 120. This is the last one in this lesson. Remember to count off your 8 beats, take a deep breath, and begin. We made it to the end of lesson 6. It sure was a long one, but it's an important lesson because we really need to have a good, solid foundation with our 8th notes. And now hopefully you will have that, and you won't be too nervous when you see an 8th note rest. So I'm looking forward to seeing you to the next lesson. And that means, I guess, that I'm going to see you soon. Thank you so much. Please, if you haven't already, would you subscribe to my channel? Thank you.